I went to one of two Portland area Patriots Day protests yesterday, April 19th, and I want to tell you how it went. So first off, there were mass protests all around the United States yesterday. We knew that the turnout was probably not going to be as big as April 5th, and that was for multiple reasons. One, it's a holiday weekend. Today is Easter and lots of people are traveling. Two, really quick turnaround from April 5th. Three, this event was not sponsored by as many organizations. And the reason for that is that folks have limited capacity, and we have to think about the fact that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And so some groups focused on April 19th events, and some groups are really looking forward to May 1st and 3rd. Those are two really big days, and I'll be talking about them more in the very near future, where Indivisible, unions, all kinds of organizations are working together around May Day, a holiday all about workers' rights. And that's the next really big push as we start to stair-step people up toward a general strike. May 1st is on a Thursday, and the idea is, can you disrupt your work at all to attend? Can you withdraw your labor, even if you just leave work an hour early to go to the afternoon protests? Or could you take the whole day off of work? If you can't take that day off of work, can you participate in the May Day protests by working to rule, slow rolling? And for people who cannot participate at all on Thursday, you will have an opportunity to participate in protest events on Saturday. And it's really important to remember, not every protest has to have a larger turnout than the one before it for it to be meaningful and important. The important thing is that we keep the pressure on, that we create a culture in America where protesting is as American as apple pie. It's just something that we do here. It is absolutely a very normal expression of our rights, of our free speech. And that we have the pressure constantly on, not only on Donald Trump, but on everybody in Congress and all of those corporations and institutions, so that they know the people are not okay with what is happening, and we are organized and we are turning out in huge numbers. So we saw for the April 5th events, the Alt National Parks and others estimated about 5.2 million people turned out. The latest estimation I saw for yesterday from Alt National Park Service was over 4 million. 4 million people on a holiday weekend, with fewer organizations scrambling to put together events. My local Indivisible chapter did not organize an event. We felt it was better to support other orgs who were already planning on doing something. We decided it was more important for us to give our attention and our energy toward May 1st and 3rd. Also to focus on mutual aid here in Portland and kind of get ourselves organized when it comes to engaging in local politics and legislative advocacy. We're also still doing weekly Tesla takedown protests and protests on overpasses around the city. So I had the option to either go to the 5051 event downtown in the morning, and I heard there were thousands and thousands of people at that. One of the local newspapers said it was over 1,000, but we know how badly that they underrepresent the turnout. I heard from people who went to the event that it was a lot more than that. But I wasn't free until the afternoon, and so I thought I will go to the protest hosted by Extinction Rebellion. Blue Sky, by the way, is XRPDX, and I recommend that you go follow them. One of my adult children and I, we took the MAX, that's our public transit here in Portland, downtown and then down to the South Waterfront. We marched with hundreds of other folks. There were no police anywhere. The group was really organized. There were at least 3 legal observers that I saw. There were medics. There were folks directing traffic. Because Extinction Rebellion is very much focused on environmental issues, and because it was Earth Day, the lead up to Earth Day, which is coming up this week, a lot of the signs and the engagement was around the environmental devastation that the Trump regime is enacting and all of the illegal actions they are taking against our national parks, against endangered species, repealing really important environmental policy that keeps habitat and ecosystems and vulnerable species safer and healthier, but also protects the health of human beings. The way the Trump regime is escalating climate change. The overarching theme of the event obviously was, hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. It was sunny, the news was there filming. We marched through an area that's kind of like mixed residential and business. And then we went down in front of the Tesla dealership. We stayed there for a long time, chanting, and the news was filming and interviewing people, and cars were driving by. It's on a really busy street, and they were all honking and supporting us. Now, I do want to say something here, and this is a topic that we've discussed in our local Indivisible group when we talk about safety and protesting nonviolently. And it's something that is a common sight at protests in Portland. You have agitators, whether or not they are actually accelerationists, they're often young folks who they want to escalate what is going on at the protest. So when folks from Indivisible go to do their Tesla takedown protests every week, they stand on the sidewalk and don't go onto private property. And they definitely don't go and touch the cars, and they don't go and try and get employees to come out and have an altercation or an argument with them. And I bring this up for a very specific reason. I made a video the other day where I was talking about what it means to be disruptive, how that is a tool of nonviolent resistance, and that is a form of civil disobedience that you need to do with careful planning. Disruption is not something that you do spontaneously. It is something that the event organizers must know about, they must condone, they must plan and prepare for, having legal observers, having bail funds in case you happen to get arrested. I'm not talking vandalism, but I am talking about doing things that are disruptive. For example, the April 5th protests in Portland shut down the Morrison Bridge for hours while people marched across it. I saw folks at the event yesterday who really wanted to escalate the situation, but that clearly was not what the event organizers had planned. And I just want to talk directly to folks who might want to escalate a situation, who think that the peaceful protest is not doing enough, it's not causing enough of a disturbance. If you have not planned that with the event organizer, and if all of the people at the protest don't know that you are planning on doing that, you are endangering people and you are undermining the purpose of that event. There were lots of people in wheelchairs, people with canes, people with walkers. We were smashed in on a narrow sidewalk between a very busy street and the Tesla dealership. If someone had started shit in that situation, it would have been dangerous for everybody there. It also would have undermined the messaging of the protest. I know that typically when I go to protest events and I see folks who are trying to get the crowd to move out into the street to stop traffic, or they're trying to get people to step onto private property, or they're trying to get people to get up in the faces of cops. They're trying to escalate what is happening because they don't think that the peaceful, nonviolent protest that is happening meets their estimation of what we should be doing. Those folks do not have the best interest of the community or the event at heart. I would say that those folks are not safe. I think they are young. They're often idealistic. I understand their drive to want to stop what is happening. It is a really, really scary time, and the stakes are really high, and the urgency is very, very real. Y'all are not being safe for the most vulnerable members of that group. When I see young white folks who are dressed all in black and their faces are covered and they have their pepper spray and their bully stick or whatever, and they want to start shit at a protest, they are clearly not thinking about the black and brown folks who are showing up. They're not thinking about disabled folks who are showing up, and the way that their behavior puts everybody who is more vulnerable at greater risk. What are our goals with events like these? Well, the restoration of our liberty, vocal public mass resistance against tyranny. But what are we outraged about what Donald Trump is doing? Inflicting harm and suffering to the most vulnerable across America is right up at the top of the list. So our protests cannot be risking people who are taking a risk to come out to the event. They did not consent to you escalating the situation. Now, no escalation actually happened at the event yesterday, but I just want to encourage young folks especially who think that there's not enough happening. Maybe you feel that peaceful marching is not sexy enough. It's not revolutionary enough. Maybe you earnestly are just so desperate to have something more happen to make greater progress. Maybe that's your motivation. But please don't undercut the safety of the other people at the event, the purpose of the event, and engage in behaviors that ultimately withdraw the public's goodwill from protests. We want to build goodwill. We want more and more people to feel empowered to stand up. We want more and more people to be sympathetic to what we're doing. I'm sorry, my stomach keeps grumbling. I'm really hungry. Please understand, y'all. Please understand that we need to keep our eyes on the prize and think about the ways that all of our choices, all of our behaviors are either getting us one step closer. What do we really want to have happen? We want a broad coalition. We want mass resistance. And we have to build and then maintain goodwill with the public for that to happen. We have to keep the most vulnerable members who are willing to show up and protest. We have to keep them safe. The event yesterday absolutely was safe. I felt very comfortable there. But I did see people with ideas of doing something else on the fringes. Overall, I was super happy to go to the event. I would march with Extinction Rebellion any day of the week. I'm so proud of all of the people who turned up, especially because a lot of folks were at the protest in the morning and then they came and did the afternoon one as well. April 19th was a huge success all across America, so let's keep building goodwill with the public. Let's keep bringing people in and leveling everybody up, while we also protect the most vulnerable. Thanks to Extinction Rebellion for organizing this event, and more on May 1st and 3rd real soon.